All right. Hi, everybody. Here we go. I'm gonna have a beer. That's 10,000. Let me try this. This is an old one. Oh, that's good. Anyways, I wanted to, today's 35th anniversary of the brewery. So you'll have to excuse me. I made some notes. I'm gonna read a little bit here. So 35 years ago today, I sold the first beer out of the Kalamazoo Brewing Company down on Kalamazoo Avenue in the old space at 315. And we had it in the gallon containers, the Cubitainers. And I had learned from studying with Bill Newman out in Albany, New York. Bill sold them in those Cubitainers. I sold 1 keg's worth the first day. I remember my dad came up, some of the locals knew, and I had 1 keg to sell and I sold it all, so that was a successful day. And certainly has been a long journey since those early days. In those early days, we washed bottles by hand. We couldn't get bottles. We took dirty deposit bottles and cleaned them, rinsed them, sanitized them, filled them, capped them all by hand. It was really hard work. 7 days a week we worked. We couldn't afford the heat. During the week, the heat was at 50 degrees, and on Fridays we turned it up to 60 because we had a lot of customers. We made beer 1 barrel at a time. Actually, we started out with the 15-gallon soup pot, but within a month we were making it 1 barrel at a time, which is a long ways from the 200 barrels of pop we make beer right now. And certainly the brewery's been through so many expansions and changes over the years. Years ago I could elucidate all those changes. Now there's so many, it's just mind-boggling everything that's happened. When you think about 35 years, there have been countless beer fests, beer dinners, cigar and beer dinners. Remember when cigar dinners were big? Meet and greets, tappings, 7 boat races I've been in, Oberon parties, eccentric days, homebrew meetings, trade shows, and rollouts. The beer business is a ton of fun, and the people that are in the business are great people. Those people around it are great people. I've had the opportunity to work with so many outstanding individuals, and I've had the pleasure to have a plethora of great employees, many who were crucial to the success of the company. And I am really proud of all the employees that I have now who have built a great culture around the brewery, a culture of safety, a culture of inclusion, and a culture that respects the community and likes to give back to the community. That's always been one of the things for Bell's, is trying to give back to the community. If you give to the community will give to you and support you. That's something we've always tried to do. And there's been a lot of different investors and advisors along the way, tradespeople who were key to our success. There's one guy, I can't remember his name tonight, who financed tanks. We were shooting from the hip fast and furious, and he was selling me those old Viatech tanks. But there's some folks that I'd like to mention tonight. There's some folks who have faded into the mist over the years, who I still think about sometimes, and they may not realize their contributions to the brewery. Some of them have passed away, but thinking back to the old days, Tom Knapp, Bob Cull, Paul Todd, and Don Baird, who helped do the books, Gordy Squires, Lad Henke, Tom Bresnow, Sue Kovacs-Bell, Scott Coulter, don't know where Scott is, Kim Burlington, Sherry Parks, Penny Pickert, Mike Wachowski, John Mallett, Fred Biltman, Angie Bell, Matt Moberly, Pat Gray, Greg Stover, my old attorney, Jim Scala, who was Rob Scala's dad. Jim wrote me a check at lunch when no banks would loan me money. Jim loaned me a lot of money to keep the brewery going. And of course, my wife Shannon, who's over here helping me out tonight. All these folks, and many, many, many more than I could ever name, have helped out so much in the success of Bell's. Our distributor partners, back in the day, Greg Mitchell at Rave, and now Jimmy Warbritt and the Warbritt family there, the Gary family, the Skin Carriel family, and Paw Paw, so many years, the Hand family, the Sheehan's. We've had great partners with our distributors to help us out. We've had great retail partners too, and I think back to the early days when craft beer, microbrewing as it was called back then, people didn't know about it. Bob and Tom over at the Corkscrew in Kalamazoo, my first customer, Bill Quinn at Bacchus was a great supporter. A gentleman who just passed, I think about Tom Brandel, Tom's Oyster Bar. Tom was great and lent a lot of gravitas to the brand by him carrying it. The Del Rio, Julie at the Del Rio, the day that I brought Stout to her and she decided to buy, in Chicago, Sheffield's and the Hop Leaf, the Bryant Lake Bowl in the Twin Cities, the Winking Lizards in Ohio. All these and a lot more have just been instrumental in helping Bell's get going. We've had a ton of fun making a lot of different beers. Nobody's made Imperial Stout in this country longer than Bell's. Expedition Stout at 10.5% alcohol. Nobody had made anything like that. I think Eccentric Ale, when we released that, was the first extreme beer made in America. I think we released the first one in 1991. And we've done things like the Wheat Project, the 10 Stouts of November. There were the Planets beers, the batch beers. Lately we've had the Leaves of Grass series. Just a lot of, the number of brands we've done. And I've always been a collector, so I love doing lots of different labels, Third Coast beer labels. The number of different ones that are out there of that, probably close to 100. Bell's and a lot of other craft brewers, when we look back now, we changed the way that people look at beer and drink beer, not only in the U.S., but really for the whole world. It was a revolution that we created, and beer will never be the same again. The sky's the limit. We cracked open people's minds to new beer, and that is something wonderful, and I was really glad to be a part of that. There's also been a lot of fun, and culture along the way. There's been a ton of fun shows at Bell's over the years. The early days when Great Lakes Grass stood on a picnic table and played the first show there. Steppin' in it was sort of a house band for a long time. Uncle Heavy, Richie Cole, the great saxophone player, passed not too long ago. I remember him coming. Buddy Miles, the drummer who played with Hendrix. Robin Ford and the Blue Line on my 40th birthday to start their tour. We've had crazy burlesque shows, Buckwheat Zydeco, the Gilmore concerts, Green Sky Bluegrass for so many years. Great crowds in the garden. Just a lot of great memories from this career. So, the homebrew store opened in 1983 and the brewery opened in 1985. And we are Michigan's oldest brewery. We worked really hard to keep the doors open in the early days and keep afloat. And I'm really proud of that. And, if somebody comes along and takes the name of another brewery that was around 100 years ago, that does not make the brewery 100 years old. Bell's is unequivocally the oldest brewery in Michigan, and we're really proud of that. One other thing, before I kind of wrap up here, over the years, we've got a lot of fun stuff in the bar and at the brewery, and over the years, some of that stuff has gone missing. And I know people will do stupid things when they drink sometimes. We've all been there. So for our 35th anniversary, I'm asking, if you would please, if you have something that belongs to the brewery or belongs to me, that was either taken from the bar or the brewery or my house, I'm declaring a general amnesty. Just please please bring it back to us. There'll be no questions asked. You can drop it at the general store, drop it at the bar, put it in the mail, leave it at our door. There's a couple neat things that we had that have been taken that we would love to get back. So, let's say from now to the first of the year or in the next 6 months, if you could bring it back, we sure would appreciate it. Thank you so much. So, again, the best thing is the people in this business. And really, it's our consumers, our public that has supported us for all these years, drinking our beer, coming to the bar. There's been so many great things that we've seen. People getting engaged, marriages, people coming in to say goodbye to friends, politicians having beers together to try and work things out. It's been a great ride. 35 is a special time. So, cheers, everyone. Thanks again. Thanks for 35 years of beer. Bye. We did these batches when you're a youngster. Batches are important. We started the brewery with batch number 1. I think the first real batch we did special batch was an unlabeled one that was batch 666. I think we made in 1988, and it was brewed to last till the millennium. I might have a bottle or two around. And of course we did batch 1000, that was a big commemoration. And when you're a toddler, half birthdays are big, so we did a batch 1500. And then, 2000 on to 10,000 was sort of going to be the end of the series, but of course we did this one goes to 11, which was batch 11,000 and 11% alcohol. So, let me try this. This is an old one. That's good.